Hey guys, it's Tessa. So today I am working on a quilt for one of my friend's kids. I have done a couple quilts in the past, mostly really small scale. I did one for our dog. We don't have it anymore because I think he got sick on it or something. But it was really small. It barely fit him, to be completely honest. But my friend's kid is turning 1 later this year. I think her party's on like in the end of November or something. And because I like this friend, and this friend knows what crafting, kind of what goes into crafting, and they also do crocheting and things like that as well, I said fuck it, let's make a blanket for the kid. So our not fun side or non-quilty side, I don't even know what this side is called. I think it's the bottom side, the underside, whatever. I'm using the Soft and Minky Dots fleece, or fleece dots. Using just under 2 yards of it, I think, in total. And I'm also going to use it as the binding. So a technique I've seen a lot recently is you just have your bottom layer a couple inches larger than the rest of the batting and the quilt layer or quilt top. And then you can take the extra bit and fold it over itself and then create the border on it as well using the same fabric. Because I don't like dealing with binding tape, it's just kind of annoying. But for our pattern overall, it's a little bit chaotic because I only bought 1/4 yard of each fabric, and there are 8-inch squares, or starting as 8-inch squares. But let me show you all the colors. So we have this like cream strawberry, black and white pumpkin, beetles, black strawberry, bees, some of that moon fabric from a different video you've seen, and then also some animals. I think there's 2 or 3 other fabrics. I think it's just 2 others. No, it might be 3. I think there's 11 fabrics in total. I can't remember though. Let me double check. Oh gosh, it's hot. Then there's paw print. This bee floral one, and then I think the last one is the dinosaurs. I am making this quilt a 56-inch by 64, I believe. It's 7 by 8 squares, and they're like 8-inch-ish squares. They're going to decrease a little bit, but roughly it's an 8 by 7. But yeah, so currently I have already started sewing together some of the rows. I think I've sewed together 3 rows so far, so that's nice. The pattern I ended up going with is just kind of like a whatever pattern, whatever worked together. I spent like 2 hours last night trying to format it on my computer, and I just couldn't do it, so I ended up just sitting on the ground and putting the squares together and just doing what I thought looked best. For the most part, essentially, it's just a checker of light pattern versus dark pattern, and then the patterns themselves just kind of switch up throughout the whole thing. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'm planning on hand quilting the top of it once it's done, just because I prefer hand quilting over machine quilting, personally. And then, yeah. I think the longest part of this is just going to be the hand quilting, since I've already got 3 of these rows done, and I just have 5 left. And that's it for now. So like you just saw, I have gotten the backing batting and top layer all sprayed together, and then I also did the fold over bias, so I didn't have to use actual bias tape. And I've also started doing my little design. It's pretty simple. It's just an X across the top, and then the only points where it goes all the way through are at the center point of the patch or on the corners where they meet. That's all I'm really doing. I am unsure if I'm going to put the kid's name on the blanket or if I'm going to put like a design instead. Kind of on the fence about it. I'm not really sure. But that is your update for now. I'm going to put this blanket on hold for a little bit because I have some other projects that I need to get started on and get working on. That's the update on the blanket. That's kind of just where we're at right now. The quilting part's coming by pretty quickly. It's just taking a little bit because the thread I'm using, it's like 3 strands of thread, but I have to take one of the strands off, so it's only 2 strands because 3 is just too large, making too large of holes. So like I have to do every section that way, which is taking a bit, but the actual quilting part's going by pretty quickly. Hey guys, so I haven't really touched this quilt basically since I sewed all of it together, which means that for the baby it's 4, the birthday is like exactly a month away. So let's just check in, see where I'm at, and we'll go from there. So I think there's like 70 squares, that might be wrong. But basically, so far, I started doing some of the actual quilt topping on all the squares. So far, it is only completed on 6.5 squares. 6.5 squares. So we have a lot to go through. I don't think I'm going to do this design. I guess you can see it mostly on this one. I don't think I'm gonna do this X pattern on all of the squares. I think I'm just gonna switch it up periodically and go from there. I thought about putting the baby's name on the blanket, but I think instead I might just do the initials or do another design. I was also originally, which you'll see on this guy, using a chalk pencil. All of my chalk pencils suck right now, like they're all terrible. So I think instead of trying to make the lines perfect, I'm just going to make them as close to perfect as I can do it. That way there's just a little bit more love in it. I know the person I'm making this for doesn't mind how it looks in the end. They're just really grateful for me making a blanket, and I might be making them another blanket in the future as well. But that's just kind of where we're at right now. So I'm gonna spend probably the next week trying to get through this as much as possible, and we'll check in again in a couple days. All right, so just got through another row on the quilt, and this is gonna take me forever. I'm never gonna get this done. Luckily the party isn't until the 30th, and it's only the 7th now, so I'm thinking if I can work on a couple rows a week, I should be able to get it done in time. I think I'm gonna try to get through 2 more rows today if I can, or at least 1 more full row, and maybe do a half row if I can, because then that would only leave, let me figure out the math, it would only leave 24 squares left if I can get through 2 rows tonight. Although I'm likely only gonna get through 1 row tonight, so realistically I'll have 30 squares left, and that's fine. That's cool. I think there's 11 colors in like 5 squares of each color, or there's 10 colors in 5 squares of each, or 4 squares of each. I don't really remember, if I'm being honest, and I don't really feel like counting it to figure it out. Anywho, but I should have like 24 or 30 squares left by the end of today. So I think the game plan is at least every other day I need to get through a row. Just to ensure that I can get this finished in time, washed beforehand, and wrapped up, ready to go for the party. My game plan here is complete the hand quilting, wash it on delicate, I'm tempted to say air dry, but I don't have a space to air dry it really. Maybe I'll just dry it on really low and to run it like 15 times until it's dry. I don't know. Figure that out when I get there. I don't need to deal with that now. Current plan. At one point, as I think you saw, I was marking the layout, so the X pattern, I was marking that with a chalk pencil. You can see it on this one, that blue lines. My chalk pencils suck completely. So I think instead I am just going to take my ruler, find the center, put a single dot, and then use the dot as my line work. And then when I wash it, all it has to wash out is just that dot, and it should be fine. The inside of how this quilting looks is, I'm mostly just doing top stitching, but you'll see, I think I showed it to you previously. You see that like little line there? The center of each of the points, I go all the way through the fabric, and then on like these middle, like where this section is, the connection point for 4 squares, I do it there as well. I think I showed this, but honestly I don't remember. It's been a while since I've picked up the camera to film this. Anywho, that's the plan. Get through at least a row every other day and go from there. I'm losing my voice. But yeah, check in when we're done with the hand quilting. Maybe, I'm not really sure. I'll see you when I see you. All right, so I finally finished the quilt. It is done. All intents and purposes. I still need to wash it, but I'm gonna do that probably on like Thursday, or doing it on like Friday or Saturday of this week. But I made sure as well, I think I talked about it at least. I was really conflicted on whether or not I wanted to put the baby's like initials on the blanket, or if I wanted to put like the first name or something else. I ended up putting just the initials on one of the squares. But yeah, this was a fun learning experience. I think I hate hand quilting, or at least how tedious it is, or at least the way I was doing it. I wouldn't mind making more quilts. I just think I need a better like setup for that, especially using like batting spray and stuff like that. But overall, I think it turned out great. The baby's party is 18 days away or so it's done. By Friday, it'll be, I think, still over 2 weeks away. So if there are any issues when I wash it, fingers crossed that there isn't, but if there are any issues when I wash it, I should be able to fix it in time. But yeah, that is it for this week's video. If you have any feedback when it comes to quilting, I would greatly appreciate it, because I am not very good at it, and that's only, I think, the second official quilt I have made. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. I'll see you guys later. Bye.